Hi everyone, this is Elle from everydayelle.com, and I thought since it was Thanksgiving I would try to show you how to emboss. And I'm not an expert on embossing at all, but I did get a kit, and so I just wanted to show you kind of what that looked like. So first of all, I got these black cards here that I'm going to stamp and also use my embossing pen on, and I'll show you how that works. This is a stamp pad that I got a long time ago when I used to scrapbook actually, and it's just made by Colorbox. I think they make stamp pads specific for embossing, but this is just the one I'm going to use and show you that it still works. These are embossing powders that, again, I got in a kit. I also have a tool that I use to heat up this embossing, and so I'll show you that as well. Just one second. It doesn't really reach my computer. I have this ball and I sit on it and it kind of moves when I walk away. So I have, this is the embossing tool that I use, and I bought this as a set. So I got this heating tool. I got these, I think I actually got 3 embossing powders. These are 2 of them. I got 2 embossing pens, and I think that's it. That's all that came with it. So, and then a little instruction guide on how to emboss. So I'm not an expert by any means, but I will show you how this works. So I'm just going to set that down for a second. Okay, so you can use any kind of cardstock that you have or paper that you have. Just when you're using the heat tool, you want to make sure not to put it. Your paper can burn pretty easily if you have really thin paper. So I'm using this thicker cardstock because I don't like the smell of thin paper. And then I put a piece of paper underneath my surface because embossing can tend to be pretty messy. So I'm just going to put these aside, and I don't have anything that I'm specifically making. I'm just going to show you how this kind of works. So I'll start with the stamp pad. This is a stamp I got a long time ago too when I used to scrapbook, and it's just got some Christmas trees on it, and I got these clear stamps that I used to use, and I have a bunch of them. So, but you can pick these up on Amazon or any store that sells stamps, Michael's, Joann's. So I'm just going to stamp this, and this ink is not very good because it's old. But I'm going to try to get it loaded with ink as much as I can. Okay, that looks good. And this probably isn't going to be straight, but I'm going to try it anyway. Oh, dang. Well, that's okay. So it didn't really stamp the way I wanted it to. Maybe I'll flip it over and try it again. This is just for practice anyway. The stamp pad kind of sucks because it's running out of ink, and I probably didn't press hard enough on that. So, well, that's a little better. Okay, so you could just leave it like that if you wanted, but I really like the look of how the embossing, I like how it looks, so I'm going to just sprinkle this on here. And it looks like I'm going to waste it, but I'm not. I'm actually going to put this back in the jar. So you want to kind of make sure it gets on there. And then you can tap, my camera is going fuzzy. You can tap the card. You can even take a little paintbrush and get this excess off. Looks like I touched this with some ink, so I got that on there. Set that aside just for 1 second, and then I'm going to try to put this back in the jar without getting it all over myself. You could even use a coffee filter for this part. That might work better. I still end up getting it like everywhere, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm kind of done with that part for now. Let's put the cap back on this one. I'm going to pause this because I don't have a way to plug in my embossing tool. But basically what you're going to do is just heat this up, and you'll see it kind of shining, and then you want to take the heat away from it when you do it. So I'm going to pause this a second. Okay, I actually found a way to plug this in closer to my computer, so now I can show you kind of how I do it. So here's my tool, and you probably want to turn it on. This is going to be loud, so you might want to mute me for a second. But so I'm going to heat this up, and then I'm just going to run over this. And you can kind of see it starts to glimmer. It puts like this crust on here. And that's basically how you emboss. So I'm not sure if you can see that, but it gives this little texture to it that's kind of cool. Instead of just a silver stamp, I have, and you could do other colors, but it gives this, you know, kind of a glimmery look to your projects. So I also have this pen that, you know, if you like to hand letter, and I don't really like this for hand lettering, but we could do something like snowflakes or something, just to give it a different look. Okay, and we're going to go back to our messy embossing project again. I'm kind of dumping this all over because I don't want to miss anything, but it is kind of a mess to deal with. I don't know. This isn't a perfect. I'm not doing this very clean. You could take a paintbrush, a little tiny paintbrush, and brush off all the excess that you don't want. And you, unlike me, you can make sure your fingers are clean before you touch it. I mean, you can see all the little spots that, like right here and over here where I touched with, I think I touched it with some silver ink. So it kind of made a big mess. So I need to dump this back in. This is just a gigantic pain, this part, but I don't want to waste it because it's kind of expensive. You know, you can get a lot of uses out of this. Okay. I'm actually going to set this on the floor because it's kind of dirty and gross and I don't want it all over my desk, which it already is. Okay, sorry about that. So again, we have, you know, our little dots of gold that don't really look all that spectacular right now. But when I turn this heat tool, I'm going to heat it up for like maybe 5 seconds before I even put it to the paper so I don't over emboss it because I don't want to make it look weird. So, and I'm going to try to avoid my trees because I already embossed those. So here we go. Okay, so I wanted to make sure I didn't miss any. So that's kind of what you can do with embossing. It's kind of cool if you don't have dirty hands and if you don't stamp incorrectly like I did. But you know, there's a lot of things you can do. You can, you know, hand letter Merry Christmas on here. You can make a little border and emboss that. You can emboss, they have so many different embossing colors. They have white, gold, different kinds of golds, different kinds of silvers. So it's just a fun thing if you like to make cards or do different handmade projects. They also make something, you know, it's right here I'm seeing the powder kind of stuck to the paper and I don't like that. So if I went back and did this again, I would make sure to take a little paintbrush and just try to brush around where I put this. But they also make some stuff to keep that off there, and I don't know what it's called, but again, I'm still learning how to emboss as well. So, but this is kind of a fun thing I like to do when I have time and just add a little bit of texture to my projects. So again, not an expert, and if you have tips that can help me, I'm all ears because I'm still learning too. But it's a kind of a fun thing to do, and you should try it if you get a chance. You can buy the kit. They're rather inexpensive. I think I paid maybe 20 bucks or something for it, but it comes with all the stuff, and I've used it a ton of times, and I still haven't run out of, like, these pens are still working, and I still have a ton of powder. I mean, I use the silver one a lot, and I still have like almost a full container of it. So yeah, go check it out. And if you have any questions, let me know. All right, I'll see you guys later.